Ever wonder how we went from telling stories around a fire to holding entire worlds in our hands? Our journey starts way back at the very beginning of civilization. As people started living together in bigger groups, building cities, and organizing their lives, they faced a new challenge: how to remember everything. How to pass down important information. For a long time, people relied on memory and simple ways of keeping track of things. But as societies grew more complex, they needed something more permanent, something more reliable. They needed a way to write things down. Enter Mesopotamia, the land between the rivers, thousands of years ago. Here, one of the earliest forms of writing was born: cuneiform. Imagine soft, wet clay, like Play-Doh. People used to read stylus, a special kind of stick, to press wedge-shaped marks into this clay. These marks weren't letters like we know them today, but symbols that represented objects, ideas, and even sounds. These clay tablets became the world's first books. They held records of grain harvests, lists of goods traded, even the very first stories ever written down, like the epic tale of Gilgamesh. But making them was a process, and reading them required special training. Knowledge was still somewhat limited. Fast forward a bit to ancient Egypt. Along the mighty Nile River, the Egyptians found a new way to record their knowledge: papyrus. They took the papyrus plant, which grew abundantly along the riverbanks, and through a clever process of stripping, pressing, and drying, they created a much lighter and more flexible writing material, something closer to paper. This invention was a game changer. Papyrus could be rolled into scrolls, making it easier to store and transport larger amounts of text. Suddenly, knowledge could travel more freely. Scribes, highly skilled writers, painstakingly copied religious texts, medical knowledge, stories, and poems onto these scrolls. Papyrus made knowledge more accessible, allowing ideas to spread further than ever before. While papyrus was a fantastic step forward, it had its limitations. It could be brittle, especially in dry climates, and wasn't always the easiest to bind into larger collections. But a new material was on the horizon, one that would pave the way for the book as we recognize it today: parchment. Imagine taking animal skins, like those from sheep or goats, and transforming them through careful processes of cleaning, stretching, and scraping into thin, durable sheets. This was parchment, and it was a game changer. Unlike papyrus, parchment was incredibly strong and flexible. It could be folded without cracking and sewn together to create something revolutionary: the codex. Think of the codex as the direct ancestor of our modern book. Instead of rolling up a long scroll, you had pages bound together, allowing you to flip through them easily and find specific passages much faster. This format was particularly embraced by early Christians for their scriptures, and it gradually became the standard for longer texts. Creating these parchment codices was still a painstaking process, done by hand, often by monks in monasteries who dedicated their lives to preserving knowledge. Books were still precious and not widely available. Now, picture this: the mid-15th century, a German goldsmith named Johannes Gutenberg had an incredible idea. Instead of carving entire pages by hand, what if you could create individual letters that could be rearranged and reused? This brilliant concept led to the invention of the movable type printing press. His press was a marvel of ingenuity. Suddenly, producing books was no longer a slow, laborious task done by hand. Multiple copies of the same book could be created much faster and at a significantly lower cost. It laid the foundation for mass literacy, the spread of information, and the incredible wealth of knowledge that we have access to today.